There was a pretty genuine question a while ago that asked, why is it that some people are always tired, but it doesn't feel like a genuine physical tiredness? See, some people are tired because they invest all their energy that they have into their own emotions, into the same circus of the mind. And, some of these people cannot exist outside of chaos. Their only purpose is to simply destroy other people's lives, vampirize them of their pure energy, so that they can have some more energy, just a bit more, to simply invest into stupid things. But beyond this, there is possibly another reason. See, there is a chance, and I'm saying a chance, that your tiredness is invented. Yes? And once it may have served as a survival mechanism because you were about to get truly burnt out. And so your mind invented this idea that you're tired. So instead of doing the 100% you would do, you got the impression suddenly that you could only do 60%. But it felt as if that 60% of the energy you could use was your 100% for that day, and you suddenly were more tired. This can, in time, be a problem because you might end up thinking that you're more and more tired, but your mind is using that as a shield, yes, to make sure that you don't get truly burnt out. See, I heard people speak of a very horribly wrong concept, that of using more than you have. This is inexistent in physicality, because think about it. Anything that you have means a certain limit. Yes, every physical object, every physical thing is a limit. That is why they have dimensions. Yes, which mean it starts somewhere and it finishes somewhere. In terms of amount is also somewhat of a dimension. It's just that it is somewhat more like bidimensional. Yes, it has a start, how little you can have, aka none, and then one unit of it, and then, well, towards infinite, but never infinite, because infinity does not belong to this physicality. Theoretically, it can, but practically, it is still a limited space in this cosmos, even if it is wide and vast. And obviously, it will easily give people the impression that it is infinite, but at the same time, infinite can be used as a means to bypass huge number usage in mathematics. So, when it comes to understanding your energy, think about your energy as a bank reserve. And that bank reserve is ruled by, let's call it a robot banker. Yes, this banker is just like a robot. It doesn't have any awareness, it doesn't have any knowledge of anything, it doesn't have any consciousness or emotions or things like that. But it puts to you available all the energy that you have for the current day. Yes, and there is always obviously a cost because you sleep certain number of hours so that you have the energy for that day. That energy you will make use of, whether you make use of all of it or whether you make use of a part of it. It is up to each and every day's challenges, right? And how many you choose to tackle, how many things you choose to ultimately accomplish. Some will be more challenging, some will be less energy demanding, and well, some will you will handle with less and less energy since you get used to their repetitiveness. Now, using more energy than you have is simply impossible because technically you will die. It's just that in time you have been taught to live in this ignorant life where you're simply stagnant, you're not doing anything, you're getting the impression that you do two or three little things, suddenly you're tired. Yes? Your mind constantly craves rest. But the problem is, are you actually mentally drained? Yes? Or psychologically drained? A lot of people are talking about physical burnout. But see, burnout is not something physical. Burnout is something psychological. You're making such a mess out of your mind. You're overusing it so much. See, it is a very powerful computer, yes? The strongest computer that you can find on this planet. And it is capable of conducting trillions of operations. However, people simply don't perform at its maximum potential because everyone is protected by this. Yes, you're not allowed easily to make use of your mind's full potential. Your subconscious handles 99.5, or for ignorant people, or for the usually conscious people, it's 95%. Yes, the subconscious handles that much of one's life. So technically, you're not even much in control of your life. But this put aside, this subconscious does things because if you cannot make use of your mind because of your unconsciousness, suddenly imagine you can use 40% of your mind's potential, but you're still subconsciously functioning. You're still ignorant, as one may say. How much time can you actually exist? Your mind is consuming so much of your resources just because of it functioning. Take, for example, your PC. Yes, your personal computer uses a certain amount of electricity. If you overclock your processor, your graphics card, and whatever other pieces of it you can overclock, obviously they will consume slightly more electricity. Yes, if your power source cannot handle that, or if your electricity provider or the cables cannot support that much, well, the machine will suffer one way or another. Something will shut down, something might break, or whatever else may happen. I'm not a technician, but something definitely will happen. Yes? So you cannot consume more than you currently have. It's just this little programming that you think you have that much energy that you have, the 5 or 10%, 20% of your daily energy that you have, you think that is the 100%. Because beyond that, your mind will tell you that you're overclocking. Yes, you're approaching some kind of burnout. Maybe you are. A lot of people overthink because we live in a society of constant judgment, constant expectations, and obviously all this toxicity takes a toll on all of us. Now, all of your energy that you have today, remember that you had that little robot banker. Yes, imagine that they are like that NPC that you go to in order to access your bank in your video game. Yes, it doesn't ask what you want to do with your money, it doesn't care how and what you act with it, or whatever else, it doesn't even have any emotion towards it. Yes, it just gives you that energy. And technically it's for free, but at the same time you have to sleep for it, so that you regain some of the vitality that your physical body needs. Yes? So once you have that energy, you make use of it whatever way you will. If you don't make use of all of your energy, well, you will feel still extra energetic, and obviously you're not gonna easily be able to fall asleep because overthinking and the such needs their energy consumption, and they won't let you be unless you kind of, fully close those processes, which technically it's not possible. That is why mindful sleeping is a very powerful thing to do in life. You just sit in bed and let all your thoughts flow through your mind without you having to attach anything towards those. Are they about some murder, some genocide, whatever someone said, some horrible things, irrespective of how horrible they may seem, just let them slide through. Yes? The less you attach emotionally to them, technically it's gonna be better because they will require less and less energy, and therefore you will have more energy to spend on things that you really need. Yes? It is said the nervous system doesn't weigh too much compared to the rest of your physical body, but it still consumes 20% of the food intake, of the energy that you gain from your food intake. That's how voracious it is. So no wonder why people who overthink, end up consuming so much power without actually doing anything. Yes? Even your PC, it doesn't seem like doing anything, it's just sitting there, yes? Similarly, people who are vampiric by design, they're using so much energy for their circus in the mind, for making plans how to torture others and how to ruin their lives and, reinventing the circus and creating new performances and rehearsing their hundreds of quotes, tending to each and every one like they tend to a brick that constitutes the foundation of their entire being. Yes? All that meticulousness consumes so much energy, it can consume even more than they actually have, which is the reason why they start looking older at such a young age. You will see that they look older and older, yes, slowly and surely, because they're stripping their body of vitality, and they're also injecting themselves or forcing other energy from others through vampirism. Other people's energy is never um, compatible with you. Yes, it is a completely different kind of energy, which isn't necessarily going to suit you specifically. Yes, It may be your parents, your lovers, whatever. Their energy is their own unique signature. Yes? I'm talking about certain aspects, not in general. Yes? And one has to understand this whole idea of the banker, the robot banker, it gives you your energy and you make use of it whatever way you will. If you don't use all your energy during a day and you still feel energetic, you can still invest it in some spiritual practice. The rest of the energy you haven't used can be used instead to further upgrade yourself spiritually, to reach higher levels of awareness. Yes, it takes practice, but nothing comes easily, anyways, in this dense dimension. And well, obviously, you need to rest if you have used most of your energy and you're feeling like entirely tired, if we are to think so. So, because of all of these points where everyone wants something from you, you have to overanalyze, over criticize yourself, and this and that, and build expectations and plans and all sorts of possibilities that may happen. These are very consuming and they give you constantly the signal that you're doing way too much. Because in the end, you may sit in bed and watch movies or just sit in bed and do nothing, but overthinking costs you a lot. Slowly and surely, it costs your life because it hastens your meeting with the grave. Yes? It does have indirectly such an impact, such an influence. So, next time you think you're tired, it might actually be your mind, coming up with this just because you have programmed yourself to think that you're tired. Yes? Remember that the robot gives you a certain energy. Yes? And now the point is this banker will give you less if you convince it. Yes? It doesn't have any awareness, it doesn't follow any rules, but simply one. How you feel and, well, whatever you need. If you convince your mind you need less because you're crippling your emotions or you're disconnecting from your emotions and you choose to live like a zombie without any sense of liveliness, you won't need that much energy. Yes? Because when you're lively, when you feel fully alive, you want to do so many things. So obviously you will need to use a lot of that energy. Yes? So that is the point. All that energy, if not used, it can cause some issues as well. But maybe for some other video. So that banker, let's say, gives you the amount of energy that you need, but it also functions your own convictions. Yes, it follows your own convictions. If you're convinced that you don't need much energy because you're gonna stay stagnant, yes, well, it will not give that much anyways. So anything that you want to do feels sluggish. That is why sitting idle at home for extended periods of time is not good. Yes, definitely not good because things start following a different pattern. Suddenly everything feels more sluggish. Suddenly everything feels more problematic. And leaving house sounds already like more and more of an impossible chore. Yes? So, next time you think you're tired, ask yourself if it's not your mind making it up. Yes? Because we all get certain layers of tiredness. But in the end, very few people know exactly how much energy they can make use of. Yes, and those usually are sports people. Yes, because when you train, you need to give it your all, and you're always going to give way more than you ever thought you could give. Yes, all that energy is just there for the grabbing. Military people, for example, as well. Military training is very difficult, so it requires way more energy than you would initially think about. Yes? So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life. This being said, Ferenc Board signing out.